What I'm about to share can improve every area of your life if you actually apply it. Not some areas, not most areas, all of them. And I don't say that casually. Machiavelli would have admired this discussion, because he understood something most people never do. Life does not reward intention, it rewards force correctly applied. If there were only one thing to focus on to make your life better in 2026, this would be it. Not motivation, not inspiration. Law, and law does not care how you feel. There are 3 principles you must understand. 3, and they are not opinions, they are governing forces. Machiavelli spent his life watching these laws unfold. In princes, generals, merchants, and empires, the men who rose understood them, the men who fell violated them. The first principle is inertia. An object at rest remains at rest, unless acted upon by an external force. In simple terms, nothing moves until something moves it. Power does not drift toward you. Change does not wander into your life by accident. Stagnation is the default state. Most men do not fail because they choose destruction. They fail because they never choose force. They wait, they watch, they hesitate. Machiavelli warned that fortune favors the bold, not because bold men are luckier, but because fortune is feminine and must be seized through action. If you remain motionless, life does not negotiate with you. It leaves you exactly where you are. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes you are the object at rest. Other times you are the external force. Most of the time you are both. The issue is not which one you are. The issue is when you don't know which one you're being. The moment you recognize that distinction, you gain leverage. The moment you remain unaware, you become a pawn. The second principle is energy. Energy is never created or destroyed. It only changes form. Machiavelli didn't speak in modern physics, but he understood the result. Every single day, your life force is being converted into something, always. You are constantly turning energy into outcomes. If you want proof, look at your life. You have converted years into your income. You have converted years into your relationships. You have converted years into your body. You have converted years into your reputation. Nothing is neutral. Men like Jacob Fugger, the wealthiest financier of Renaissance Europe, understood this completely. He did not outwork everyone. Many men worked harder. What separated him was how deliberately he converted energy into position. He turned effort into leverage, leverage into dependence, and dependence into power. That is energy properly directed. If you do not decide what your energy becomes, entropy will decide for you. And that leads us to the third principle, entropy. Anything left to itself moves toward disorder. This is the most dangerous law because it operates quietly. You do not need to intend failure. You only need to neglect improvement. Kingdoms collapse this way. Bodies decay this way. Men drift this way. Machiavelli watched entire states rot, not because of rebellion, but because rulers assumed stability would sustain itself. If 2025 looks suspiciously like 2024, and 2024 looked like 2023, that is not bad luck. That is entropy doing exactly what it does. Here is the part most people resist. Entropy requires no effort. You do not have to try to become weaker, poorer, or less respected. All you have to do is stop applying pressure in the right direction. Every time you read a book, you allow an outside force to act on you. Every time you learn a skill, you apply force. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you introduce motion. But if you do not predetermine which forces shape you, other forces will gladly do it for you. Institutions, habits, weak environments, lesser men. Machiavelli was ruthless about this. If you do not control the forces acting on you, they will control you. That is not pessimism. That is realism. So here is the tension I want you to sit with. Are you the object at rest, waiting to be moved? Or are you the force that moves your own life? Because in 2026, you will be one or the other. Neutral does not exist. Stillness is not safety, stillness is decay. In the next part, we are going to dismantle one of the most dangerous lies men tell themselves, that life simply happens to them. And once that illusion collapses, responsibility and power returns to where it belongs. Before we continue, pause for a moment, reflect honestly on the last year. Where did inertia dominate your life? Comment one word that names it: stuck, drifting, comfortable, whatever is true for you. Naming it locks awareness in place. And if you are serious about no longer being ruled by entropy, subscribe and join a growing community of men focused on discipline, leverage, and long-term power. Not motivation, not hype, but principles that actually work. Control versus excuse is where real life is decided. Now that you understand inertia, energy, and entropy, this is where most people get uncomfortable. Because once you see these laws, you lose your favorite hiding place, the excuse that life is simply happening to you. Machiavelli had no tolerance for that mindset. He observed repeatedly that men who blamed fortune remained small, while men who treated fortune as something to be managed rose quickly. Here is the distinction you must understand. If you want 2026 to be different, there are contributing factors and there are determining factors. Contributing factors exist outside of you. They influence you, but they do not define you. Economic cycles, family background, bad timing, other people's decisions. These are contributing factors. Determining factors are internal. They are your decisions, your discipline, your persistence, your willingness to apply pressure. Longer than others are comfortable wit. Most men confuse the two. Something external happens, and they immediately promote it to a determining factor. Machiavelli would say, this is how men surrender power voluntarily, because the moment you decide that something outside you determines your outcome, you excuse yourself from action, and once action stops, inertia and entropy take over. Here's an example that makes it clear. Someone crashes into your car. That event was not caused by you. That is a contributing factor. But what happens next? How quickly you recover? How you respond financially, emotionally, strategically? That part is determined by you. If you elevate the accident to a determining factor, you gain the comfort of victimhood. You get an explanation for stalled progress. You get an excuse, but you also surrender control. Machiavelli understood something crucial. Principles overpower other principles. Gravity is real, but lift defeats gravity. Fear is real, but preparation defeats fear. Chaos is real, but structure defeats chaos. When you apply a stronger principle, you override a weaker one. That is why men who understand systems keep winning, even when conditions are not ideal. Most people do not fail because life is unfair. They fail because they stop applying determining factors consistently. They wait for conditions to improve. Instead of overpowering conditions with discipline, they negotiate with reality instead of forcing it to respond. This is why Machiavelli warned rule. Rs. Never to rely on circumstances remaining favorable. Fortune changes. Allies shift. Markets move. The only stable advantage is internal control, decision tenacity, the refusal to interpret delay as denial. You see this clearly in business. Two people face the same obstacle. One says, there's no way. The other says, there must be a way. The first submits to contributing factors. The second becomes a determining factor. Over time, the gap between them grows so wide, it looks like luck, even though it isn't. Energy re-enters the equation here. High-energy individuals repel excuses naturally. Low-energy individuals accumulate them. That's why language matters. When someone says, I'm fine, I'm surviving, or not too bad, they're signaling low energy. Machiavelli would recognize this immediately. Power is drawn to vitality. Opportunity flows toward motion. Nothing of value moves towards stagnation. Positive thinking does not magically solve problems. Machiavelli was not naive. But high energy amplifies everything you touch. It sharpens decisions, attracts collaborators, accelerates recovery. Low energy does the opposite. No high-level result ever flows from a low-energy source. This is why men who dominate outcomes refuse to rehearse weakness out loud. They do not narrate limitations. They do not worship obstacles. They apply force, observe feedback, and adjust. That's it. No drama, no self-pity. And here is the part most people miss. Once you realize you are both the object and the force, you gain the ability to intervene deliberately. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what principle do I apply next? That question alone separates men who repeat the same year endlessly from men who compound forward. This is exactly why Machiavelli wrote that men shape their destiny through preparation, long before the moment arrives. When the storm hits, it is already too late to build foundations. The determining factor must already exist. In the next part, we will apply this framework to real-life domains, money, relationships, learning, and growth. And once you see how neglect quietly destroys each one, you will never view doing nothing the same way again. Before we continue, reflect honestly. Think of one situation in your life where you blamed circumstances instead of applying force. Comment one short phrase: my timing, the market, other people. Awareness is the first act of control. Neglect is a decision. And now we begin applying these laws to life itself. At this point, it stops being philosophical and starts becoming unavoidable. Because once you accept that inertia, energy, and entropy govern life, you can no longer pretend that any choice is neutral. Machiavelli understood this at a deep level. He saw that decline rarely came from dramatic errors. It came from silence, delay, comfort, and the gradual removal of pressure. Here is the belief system that changes everything. For any area of your life to improve, it requires high energy and deliberate intention. For any area of your life to deteriorate, it requires neither. It only requires neglect. Sit with that. Improvement must be designed. Decay happens automatically. Once you fully absorb this, you begin to see your life differently. Nothing is staying the same. Everything is either improving or deteriorating. Comfort is not stability. Comfort is entropy wearing a disguise. Machiavelli warned rulers that peace without vigilance was more dangerous than open war. The same is true in your personal life. So now we apply the laws. We move through the domains the same way the logic demands, in reverse order of importance. Not because the earlier ness matter less, but because unresolved pressure at the base corrupts everything built above it. We begin with finances, not because money is the most important thing in life, but because unresolved money problems dominate attention. Machiavelli observed that men trapped in survival concerns cannot think strategically. They react, they don't plan, they trade principles for relief. Here is the hard truth. If you are not intentionally using energy today to become richer, you are unintentionally becoming poorer. There is no middle ground. Inflation guarantees that, time guarantees that, entropy guarantees that. So the question is not whether you want to be wealthy someday. The question is whether today moved you 1 inch closer or 1 inch farther away. Men who understand power think in leverage, cash flow, systems, assets that work when they don't. This is not modern thinking. Venetian merchants, Florentine bankers, and Dutch traders understood recurring income centuries ago. They built structures that produced value daily, whether they were present or not. That is leverage. And leverage is simply energy, multiplied through structure. Next is lifestyle. Lifestyle is not consumption. Lifestyle is freedom of choice. When income is predictable and recurring, decisions stop being financial and start becoming strategic. Machiavelli wrote that dependence is the true loss of freedom. When money controls your choices, it becomes your master. When it obeys your strategy, it becomes your servant. Then comes legacy. Legacy is long-term thinking. In a short-term world, it is the refusal to let each generation restart from zero. Powerful families throughout history understood this. They didn't just earn money, they preserved it, positioned it, transferred it. That was not greed, that was foresight. Now friendships, this domain is underestimated because it doesn't feel transactional. That is exactly why it matters. No one builds power alone. Even the most dominant figures in history relied on alliances, trust, and networks. Machiavelli warned princes never to isolate themselves because isolation breeds blindness. Relationships decay without energy. Long-term friendships require maintenance. Developing relationships require investment. New relationships require initiative. If you are not intentionally strengthening them, they are weakening, not loudly, quietly, until one day you look around and realize your network is thinner than it should be. Next is focus, learning, skill, mental sharpness. Entropy applies to the mind as much as it does to money or muscle. If you are not learning something new, you are losing something old. Memory erodes, edges dull, curiosity fades. The world moves on without you. Machiavelli was a relentless student of human nature, history, and power. He read constantly because he understood that ignorance is vulnerability. The cycle is always the same: discovery. You uncover principles you didn't know. Development. You practice until they become usable. Deployment. You apply them under pressure. That cycle never ends. Every day presents the same choice. Am I willing to apply energy to improvement? Or am I willing to accept decline by default? Watching instead of reading. Consuming instead of building. Scrolling instead of sharpening. These are not harmless habits. They are votes cast for entropy. And by now, you should feel the pressure building. Because once you see this pattern across money, relationships, and focus, you realize it applies everywhere, which means the most personal domains come next: body, family, identity. And this is where excuses collapse completely. That's where we're going next. Before we move on, pause. Reflect honestly. Which area have you been neglecting while telling yourself everything was fine? Comment one word: money, friends, focus. Awareness is the first act of control. That single word is a decision to see clearly. The body, belief, and total transformation. Now we arrive at the domains where excuses die the fastest. Because here, responsibility cannot be outsourced. You can't blame markets. You can't blame timing. You can't blame other people. Machiavelli would say, this is where men reveal who they actually are, not who they claim to be. Let's begin with family. Everyone says they want a better family life. Very few are willing to apply energy and intention consistently enough to create it. Families do not improve through love alone. Love without structure decays. Love without priority erodes. Order must come first. If you have a spouse, that relationship is the axis. Every single day, it moves in one of two directions: toward unity or toward fracture. There is no neutral day. Machiavelli warned that neglected alliances eventually become liabilities. Marriage is no different. If you are not deliberately strengthening it, entropy is weakening it for you. Children come next, not above the spouse, never above the spouse. Strong families throughout history understood hierarchy. Disorder in priorities creates disorder in outcomes. Extended family matters, but never at the expense of the core. Power has always flowed from order. Now fitness. This is where the principle becomes undeniable. One day you realize something that changes everything. You are either getting stronger today or getting weaker today. You do not need to choose weakness. You only need to avoid choosing strength. Machiavelli understood the body as an instrument of will. A weak body limits force. A disciplined body amplifies it. Strength is not vanity. Strength is capacity. And capacity determines how much pressure you can apply before breaking. Nutrition comes first. What you put into your body determines how much energy you can deploy. Eat like someone seeking power, not comfort. Movement comes next. Motion is maintenance. Motion is insurance against decay. Rest completes the cycle. Recovery is not laziness. It is strategy. There are two kinds of pain: short-term intentional pain, structured pain that removes weakness, or long-term unintentional pain, the kind that arrives when weakness accumulates. Machiavelli would tell you to choose the pain you control before the pain you don't arrives. Now the final domain, the most important one: belief, inner alignment. Call it faith, call it worldview, call it internal order. If this domain decays, everything else eventually follows. A man without inner alignment becomes reactive. He drifts, he compromises, he rationalizes. If you are not deliberately saturating your mind with higher principles, lower impulses will fill the space. If you are not directing your inner life, external noise will dominate it. This is not mystical, it is mechanical. Machiavelli observed that men without inner discipline were easy to manipulate, easy to provoke, easy to defeat. Now, the final synthesis. For any area of your life to improve, it requires high energy and deliberate intention. For any area to deteriorate, it requires only neglect, which means, if you truly grasp this, transformation stops being mysterious. It becomes inevitable. If you apply this standard, better by design or worse by default, to your money, your relationships, your learning, your body, your family, and your inner life, it becomes impossible for your life not to improve, not slowly, not vaguely, structurally. That is how total transformation happens, not through motivation, not through inspiration, but by obeying laws that do not negotiate with excuses. The coming year will not be fair. It will not wait. It will not care how hard your past was or how good your intentions sounded. 2026 will reward only one thing: men who apply force consistently, and it will punish men who drift. Understand this clearly. If you do not design who you become next year, entropy will design it for you. If you do not choose discipline, comfort will choose you. If you do not impose structure on your life, chaos will gladly do it for you. There is no middle ground. There is no pause button. Every day, you either harden into a sharper, more capable version of yourself, or you quietly decay while telling yourself you're fine. This is the year you stop hoping things change and start deciding they must. This is the year you stop negotiating with weakness. This is the year you stop waiting for clarity and become the man who creates it through action. No one is coming to save you. No moment is coming. That suddenly makes this easier. The work does not get lighter, you get stronger. That is the deal. Accept it, or be ruled by men who already have. Before you leave, make the decision real, not silently, not in your head, out loud, in writing. Comment 2 words that mark the line you're drawing by design. Stronger today or no neglect. Lock it in. And if you are serious about transforming 2026 instead of mirror, why surviving it? Subscribe and join a growing community of men who are done drifting, done lying to themselves, and committed to discipline, leverage, and long-term power.